Hi, welcome back. It is Janelle from Infinite Potential Healing, and today for Meditation Monday, we're going to talk about why meditation is so important and what role meditation plays in prayer. So before you come for me, meditation absolutely does play a major role in prayer. Prayer is one of those words that I tend to use interchangeably with wishing or manifesting. At the end of the day, prayer is an ask. And most of the time, we tend to talk to spirit or pray when we're seeking something or when the energy in our life is maybe not as we want it to be. So we're kind of looking for some sort of resolution. So prayer is actually a two-step process, and we don't hear a lot of lip service or a lot of buzz about that second part of the process, which is in fact meditation. So step one is our prayer. It's our ask, our wish. What do we want? It's us telling spirit what we want, what we desire. It's us sharing that. Better if you can do it out loud and exercise that throat chakra, because now it's tangible. Now it's something that we not only feel in our desire, it's something that we can hear out loud. It's something that vibrates through our throat chakra when we ask out loud. So it tends to give that prayer, that wish, that ask a little bit more potency when we do it out loud, and that makes it more tangible. The second step, so step two, is that after we make that ask, we have to clear the space within ourselves and around ourselves to allow ourselves to receive the manifestation that we have requested from the universe, our co-creation. So there is a limited amount of space that we have in the world, in our lives, in our energy fields, in our physical bodies. And meditation helps us and allows us to clear the space to be able to commune with spirit and to clear the space to allow us to receive the action steps that are going to bring us closer to our manifestation, closer to receiving what we've wished for. So if we think about it, on an average day, we are walking around, there is a lot of clutter up in our energy field, right? We've got physical clutter, we've got mental clutter, we've got emotional clutter, we've got societal clutter. Sometimes we have spiritual clutter if our guides have been all up our ass and we haven't been necessarily tuning in and listening to them. So when we go into meditation and we sink into ourselves and we quiet the monkey mind, that takes care of that mental clutter. We sink into ourselves, we start to allow our nervous systems to become regulated through the meditative process, and that helps to clear the physical clutter, the emotional clutter. And obviously, it allows us a gateway of connection so that there's not spiritual clutter, but rather clear spiritual connectivity. Most of the time when we pray or we wish or we put an ask out to the universe, we are not going to necessarily have it instantaneously manifest. It's not like if we say, hey, universe, I want $1 million, we're going to get a knock on our door 2 seconds later and somebody's going to be standing there with a briefcase with $1 million in it. It just very rarely happens that way. But what does happen is that spirit will inspire in us a necessary action step that will move us closer to receiving that manifestation. But we can't even receive that action step with all of the chaos and all of the clutter in our energy field, which is why we've got to go into ourselves and rotor that clutter out through the meditative process. So it's really not just about, relaxing, and meditation can be very relaxing, but it is life affirming to, clear that clutter out, to allow yourself to be in a space of connection and a space of receptivity. When we, make that ask, say that prayer, that wish, put it out into the universe, a lot of the times the action steps that are going to come into us through our connection, through that meditative process, don't necessarily seem on the surface level like they have any fucking thing to do with what it is we asked for. So, using our example of asking for $1 million, the guidance that we might receive through meditation is take a different route to work today. And we're sitting there going, what the fuck does that have to do with, the $1 million that I asked for? But then we listen and we honor that and we take that different route to work. And on that different route to work, we might either be inspired with our next action step, or maybe we magically find $1 million sitting in a briefcase, sitting on the hood of a car at a stoplight. Who knows? Anything is possible. Don't limit the universe with doubt. So, it's important to understand that, the steps that the universe is going to inspire in you are not going to necessarily make sense to you, and they're not going to necessarily seem like they are directly correlated to your wish, your prayer, whatever it is you are looking to manifest. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to be in that receptive state. We want to receive those steps, even if they don't make sense to us. And it's really important that we not only receive them, but that we're willing to take that action. So, if we get that guidance that we need to take a different route to work today after we've asked for $1 million, and we say, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want, we may be missing out on either our next action step or our next inspired action step, or we may literally miss $1 million because we didn't follow our directives, follow our guidance, and take that different route to work. Most of the time, the guidance that we receive is going to be given to us incrementally, sort of step by step, because they understand that we are a little bit limited in terms of, holding on to bigger picture directives. And they don't like to give us or drop the hints for those subsequent steps until we've actually been compliant on the ones that they've already given us. So, today, even if you are not a master meditator, even if, meditation maybe doesn't feel like it is your strongest skill or your biggest, it's something that you enjoy doing, give it a try. Do the two-step process, the two-step prayer process. Put that ask out there into the universe out loud, and then go into a meditation, whether that is a silent, mindful meditation, a transcendental, mantric-based meditation, a walking or a moving meditation, an eating meditation, a guided meditation. There's no right, there's no wrong in what type of meditation you choose to use to clear the space within your own energy field to allow you to be receptive to, for the steps or the actual things that you've asked for to come into your field. But just know that if you choose not to meditate, you are kind of thwarting that process a little bit. You are kind of causing yourself potential delays, which can then lead to causing you frustration, because you're going to get the attitude that manifestation doesn't work, that prayers aren't heard or answered, because you're not creating the space for that two-way dialogue. Because ultimately, your relationship with spirit needs to be rooted in a two-way dialogue. You ask, and they receive your ask, and they respond to you in that meditative space that you've cleared, and in the space of your life that you've cleared. Especially if you're asking for specific things and you have physical clutter, literally taking up space in your life, where is that blessing going to land? It needs space to land in your life. It needs space for you to be willing and able to receive it. So allow meditation to be your pathway to resetting and clearing your energy field, to clearing yourself, so that you can meaningfully engage in that two-way prayer process and move yourself closer to your manifestations.